keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe, it's time for the Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Jones, joined once again by all my co-hosts, Cody Tanner, Nicholas Pretzel, and Jill from Ohio. How are you folks doing on this snowy, cold, dreary Monday evening?
I'm going to let Joe go first. She's a little bit more
very mad. Steelers make me so mad, and yet I watch them every week. Pitiful performance. Don't even want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Other than that, life is good. Life is great. Nick, how are you doing?
You know, it's a little bit of a mixed bag today, Jill. I mean, on one hand, the Steelers are absolutely terrible, at least for this week. We'll see how we feel next week. Maybe they'll pull out a win, and then I'll be optimistic again. But for this week, the Steelers suck. Fire Tomlin, fire the whole coaching staff, trade him to the Giants and get the third overall pick. Do something. Who knows? But other than that, you know, pretty darn good. Move over Steelers Dad. I should have put Steelers Dad as my title here because announcing officially on the podcast, we're expecting a little co-host, my wife and I. So I'll be in and out sometimes throughout the show, but life is good. Got a deer this weekend, little co-host on the way. Cody, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I also got a deer this weekend, so my hunting for the season is done. I will be taking that to Tennessee when I move down there in 2 short weeks. I'm excited for that. But Nick, congratulations from all of us here on Steelers by the Lake, and I'm sure the audience as well. We're very excited for baby Pretzel. Maybe name him Reld if you want. That's fine.
We've already had plenty of suggestions. Soft pretzel, cheese pretzel. Yeah, the puns are endless.
Bavarian? I don't know.
Bavarian pretzel.
It's there.
You go.
That's an option.
But no, I'm doing well, just packing. I don't want to talk about this game at all, but I know we're going to, and it's going to get upsetting and whatever. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm sure we're going to break it all down. James, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well also. The only deer I got this weekend was a Dear John letter from Pittsburgh because somebody killed the Steelers.
Dang.
Well said, James. Well said.
Oh.
So, yeah, outside of that, hey, life is good, but man, we got a lot to talk about today and not a lot of positive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Before we go too far, let's go ahead and talk all the Steelers moves that happened. So obviously before the game, Broderick Jones went to the IR. It sounds like he's going to be done for the year, which is very, very concerning.
Yeah.
Did he do enough to provide, you know, accepting the 5th-year option or bringing him back or whatever? I don't know. That's going to be up to debate. Is it going to be the same coaching staff to bring him back? We don't know. We'll get to that too. And then Asante Samuel was moved to the 53-man roster as a result to that. That is a move that we all here very like. There was news that maybe Asante Samuel was going to be picked off from that practice squad. So happy he's on the 53. And then inactives for this game, Scotty Miller, healthy scratch. Will Howard listed as the 3rd QB. Darius Slay, Logan Lee, and Derek Harmon, unfortunately dealing with that injury. We definitely missed him in this game. So,
Yes, we sure did.
And wishing that Will Howard was listed as the 2nd QB with how Mason played when he got out there. But we'll get to that too.
We will. We'll get to all of it. Before we go too far, we want to give a shout out to our hosts here, our sponsor here at Steelers by the Lake.
Support for Steelers by the Lake is provided by the Edinburgh Hotel Bar, serving a variety of lunch and dinner specials every day, including steak, seafood, Italian pasta dishes, and more. They're located at 100 Meadville Street in downtown Edinburgh. Information is available at 814-734-5103 or online at edinburghhotelbar.com.
Yeah, Edinburgh Hotel Bar. I will be there next week for the last game that I'm going to be able to witness in Pennsylvania, at least for this year, more than likely. I might witness one more around Christmas time. But, man, oh, man.
Before we get to the game, breakdown here and the whole recap, the Broderick Jones thing, let's just touch base on that real quick here. You know, all we knew coming out of the Bears game was that he had a stinger. Now all of a sudden it's a neck injury. All of a sudden he's on the IR. Jerry Dulac reporting he's likely to be out for the season and not even come back. It's kind of scary news when you're talking about a neck injury, especially a freak thing. I heard of him talking about losing feeling in one of his arms after the hit. Just kind of some scary stuff. So prayers up for Broderick. Let's hope he can make a full recovery from this. And like you mentioned, the end of this season is the option for giving the 5th-year option for him. He has one more year on his contract, but you have to make that decision after the 3rd year. This is the 3rd year, and he might not play anymore this year.
Yeah.
So have you seen enough? I mean, let's go around the table right now. Who would give him the 5th-year option? Who would not give him the 5th-year option? Joe, would you give him? Have you seen enough?
No, but it also, I think it depends on money, with how much of that is guaranteed. What's our salary cap going to be looking like in 2027? We say we give him the 5th year. That's saying that we're good with our tackle at least until 2027.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen, I mean, yes, this year has arguably been his best year out of the 3 because we all know how I feel about him. So I automatically want to say no, but I think it will come down to like, what does money look like? How much are we guaranteeing? What's our cap going to look like?
It'll be
19.9. It's 19.9 million guaranteed.
And it'll be a fully guaranteed contract for the 5th year. Yeah.
No.
Salary cap wise, we'll have tons of room. Like that won't be an issue. It'll easily fit under the cap.
Okay.
But that's the tough part to swallow. Nick, what about you? Would you do it? Jill's out. She says 20 mil is too much for him.
It is definitely a tough pill to swallow. He's been up and down in his career, but what I've liked from what I've seen out of him is that he's been coming back stronger this year. He's always tried to continue to prove that. He started to actually show that he can play. And then this is the first time we've really moved him back to his natural position at left tackle. So it's been a while since he's played the position. He struggled a little bit, and then after a while he started to show up again. And was it elite play? No. But were we ripping on him every week? No. And with a down class this next year at tackle, I'm not confident in saying we can find a plug-and-play guy to go in and replace him. Now, can we address that in free agency with a veteran guy? Maybe, but that sounds like another Band-Aid situation that I'm not sure I want to go into. So why would you bring in a guy that's not familiar when you've got a guy that is, if he's eligible to do so? So if he's looking good and the doctors clear him, I would probably say yes, just because it's a guy that's familiar with the team. He's shown that he can improve. He's shown that this is his natural position that he's getting back into. And I caught a video of the play that did it actually afterwards. Bears player kind of goes in there and tries to almost rip his helmet off and twist his neck a weird way. Didn't look too pretty. So a little upset that didn't get caught and called out because it was, in my opinion, a dirty play. But yeah, hopefully prayers up for Broderick. Hopefully he can recover and come back. But at least for the time being, I would like Broderick to be there, just because I don't feel like a fresh start at this point in time is going to be any better than what we've got. And I think it would actually be worse, potentially.
Cody, what about you?
I'm on board with both of them. I'm on board with yes in a certain way, and I'm on board with no. I think it's a slippery slope in the fact that you have Aaron Rodgers, which who knows if he's going to want to come back or if we should even bring him back for a second year with us. And then you got Mason Rudolph, which, okay, he's the seasoned guy in the room, maybe a little too seasoned. I don't know if you're comparing certain things.
Burned all the seasonings at this point.
Yeah, whatever. And then there's the Will Howard. Do you want to put Will Howard or a even rookie quarterback next year or the year after, depending, in a situation where they're going to be standing behind a younger offensive line or a less qualified offensive line? Again, same thing with Nick talking about bringing in a veteran potentially. Do you want to put a Band-Aid on a team that is bleeding, which from what appears to be every single pore on our metaphorical body? It's very frustrating, and it's one of those things that, okay, we're either going to pay $19.9 million, which I do think is too much for him, or we're going to struggle with finding that piece again anyways. The benefit of bringing him in is it's a one position for one more year you don't have to worry about. We know what we're going to get from him. It may be somewhat inconsistent, but when he's playing well, he is playing well. And I'll give him props for that. And same thing with what Nick said. I think now that he's back at his natural left tackle, we have seen drastic improvement, which I'm tired of Pittsburgh trying to move guys in the NFL. and be upset when they don't perform well. Leave a guy where he's comfortable, and let's go play football. With that being said, seeing the team play the way they have and all the other question marks, I would bring him back personally, because again, it's gonna stay under the cap for 1 year. You're gonna overpay one guy, or it's not the entire defense like it right now. And so I would probably bring him back just for the security of the position at this point.
Fair enough. I agree with all your points, to be honest with you. I feel like 19.9 steep for him, but at the same point in time, for a reference, like the part of the reason that I don't want to go into free agency and try to find a left tackle in free agency is usually slim pickings. You're lucky if there's one guy that's really good, and if he is, you're going to pay usually a good 20% more than market value in order to get him. Dan Moore got $20 million a year last year. And in my opinion, Broderick Jones is drastically better than Dan Moore. So I'm okay with giving him $19.9 million because I do feel that he is an upgrade over what Dan Moore was. Is he as good as what I wanted a left tackle? No, absolutely not. But you can't keep on using first-round picks on left tackles in high capital. At a certain point in time, you have to say that this is a starting caliber player, and he's good enough. Not everybody on your roster is going to be an all-star. You do have to have some guys that are just like better than average. They're good. They can handle their own on most plays. They're going to have some bad plays, but more good than bad. And I think, honestly, he's trending in the right direction and better every year. So I would do it just to try to create some stability in the room, and at least knowing you have that baseline of here's a decent quality to good quality tackle, and let's hope that he can take the next step and become an even better quality one.
Yeah. And all the guys that I see that would become free agents in that time period are either going to get extensions by then or cost too much for us to bring in.
Or they're really old and would probably be retiring.
Yeah.
Well, and then might as well come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, really. That's where everyone comes to, play for a fun coach that's a player coach and get, maybe 8 or 9 dubs and call it a year. Call it a career. Whatever.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to touch base on real quick before we got to the game recap was a very surprising move to me of Darius Slay being inactive.
Yes.
A healthy scratch. It was a sign of the coaching staff saying, okay, it sucks that we paid this guy $10 million, but that doesn't mean we have to put him on the field. He's not playing well. Let's give somebody else a chance. That was a sign of encouragement to me. That was a sign of a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of hey, this mistake was made. This man was given money that shouldn't have been given money. That doesn't mean we have to double down on it and start him the rest of the year. So the fact that he wasn't even dressed for the game and that they went the route of Asante Samuel Jr. instead, I thought was a real positive sign. But I need a lot more of that after this game that we're about to talk about. I need a lot more of this guy isn't good enough and he needs to be benched because of it.
I'm glad that you said it, James, because I was about to say that was the one good decision that they made. They made one, and it was too little too late. And it was too little too late, in my opinion, because they should have done it a while ago. We saw better play from James Pierre, and they kept hanging with Darius Slay. I started calling him no play Slay because they could just call him big play Slay, and then he went out there and couldn't do anything. He was hurt every game, so he couldn't even stay on the field. But so why are you expecting him to be out there consistently? So
I think
glad they made the move.
Nobody else.
Yeah,
there was nobody else, and Samuel wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
So I think it was the second he's ready, we're going to slap him on that field.
I'll give you guys the answer. The standard is the standard. That's why he
There it is.
Just keep watching.
Just
keep watching. I lost it. We'll get to that. We will get to all of it.
Way to just deflect without like that. All right.
Let's talk about, let's kind of go off our normal for a second, because I think everything's off normal right now. After the game, after this pitiful performance out of both offense and defense, offense looked fairly decent in the first quarter. I'll give them that. They scored 7. Yay. Another quarter where we only scored 7 or less than 7, whatever. I was very confident when we went up 7-0, and I was like, holy crap. Like the offense seems to be moving the ball a little bit. And the defense had forced 2 turnovers at that point. I did, however, already message, in our group chat saying, okay, here's the defense bailing out a average offensive performance again, putting us in short field position, which was great. It led to a score, but yeah, after the game, I mean, you have Cam Hayward, who in the middle of the game was getting heated with Josh Allen on multiple occasions.
Mhm.
And for apparently a good reason. Apparently, Josh Allen need him in the stomach, and it's fairly easy to see when you watch the replay and actually use your eyes. And then you have TJ Watt making a statement that I've never seen a team run the same play over and over again and get so much success. He then goes on to say, "I have no words left." You then have Mike Tomlin being asked about the team's performance. Mike Tomlin there was a chant starting in the stadium saying "Fire Tomlin," and then also they put Renegade on, and we booed Renegade.
Mhm.
Like the amount of boiling that is happening in this fan base is insane. So one, I want to go around the table and ask you guys, what are your thoughts on the Cam Hayward situation real quick? Two, what are your thoughts on TJ Watt's frustration, and has Mike Tomlin wasted TJ Watt's career? And then the third thing is Mike Tomlin's seat hot yet? Because I know that we've talked about that before. And James and I especially have talked about it in the past, and we're like, no, like he's still a good coach. He's done all these things with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky. But like you have Aaron Rodgers now, a four-time MVP, who's, yes, he's older, but still performing better than any of the last quarterbacks we've had. And you're a defensive-minded head coach, and our defense is part of the problem. There's no adjustments made. So real quick, go around. James, we'll start with you, and then we'll go Jill and Nick. Give me your thoughts on those three things.
Number one is seat hot? Yes, and it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's not acceptable for so many failures all around. There are definitely fingers that should be pointed in every direction here. This is not just coaching. This is not just players. It's everybody. So, yeah, point them all over the place, hocus pocus, whatever you want to do with your hand. It's just not good enough. It's not up to the standard of what Mike Tomlin has set for himself or expects out of this team. When he says the standard is the standard, he means that the backup is supposed to play just as good as the starter, and he doesn't expect any drop-off when you come in. Well, the problem is we've got a real drop-off right now. And the drop-off is just in a different level of quality of play at the same position sometimes.
Yeah. Like,
I look at this game, and I feel like only a couple of guys actually showed up on defense in this entire game. And two of them were on the defensive line. Y.A. Black with 9 tackles, Cam with 8. Mm-hmm. Keanu Benton got steamrolled the whole game, and that's a problem.
Yep.
You can't have your nose tackle get steamrolled when you know you're going to get run at all game long. Mm-hmm. None of the linebackers made any plays behind the line of scrimmage, so we're not getting any splash there. The outside linebackers didn't get anywhere near enough pressure in this game. It's just a complete failure all around. And I saw them change the defense over and over. They went to 3 defensive linemen in the nickel. They went to 3 middle linebackers in the nickel. They brought safeties up, and they just kept on successfully running no matter what we did on it. Mm-hmm. And the only time it seemed like anyone stopped the run for a loss or at the line of scrimmage was when either Y.A. Black stuffed it or Cam Hayward stuffed it. And outside of that, it wasn't happening. And it takes all 11 guys to stop the run, and it felt like only 2 of them were actually playing the run.
Yeah. I agree. I will say.
Yeah.
You want to give TJ Watt's thoughts?
It sucks that he hasn't had a better run. I wish TJ was on the team like 2 years earlier and still during peak Ben. Because his whole career has been like Ben at the last part of his career, which wasn't very good, and a bunch of crap quarterbacks. Like, he hasn't had a good offense really his entire career. And there's been some real unfortunate luck with injuries too. We seem to keep on getting into the playoffs, and this guy's hurt, or TJ's missed a number of playoff games being hurt. Mm-hmm. So it's very frustrating to me that there hasn't been a more complete team put around him to set up for better success. And to me, there is no Cam Hayward situation. Cam got hit in a dirty fashion. He stuck up for himself and basically tried to get in Josh Allen's head the rest of the game. and I don't think it worked. But Cam
No.
played fired up the rest of the way, so I'll take it anytime he's fired up.
Yeah. And then the last thought is, what was the first thing I asked?
If he had wasted TJ's career.
Oh yeah, no, it was the Cam thing and TJ. So yeah, we're good.
Tomlin,
Yeah.
hot seat.
Jill?
Well, yes, we wasted TJ's career. Absolutely. I've been saying that for years now, that we are wasting the prime of TJ. So I don't know what that all boils down to. I mean, there's a factor of things. You can't necessarily always just build around one guy, but for somebody as prime as him to just not have the success that, in my opinion, he deserves of any kind of ring, or I don't know, a playoff win. What a novel idea that is. Like, that was a stat that just was alarming to me. Like, he does not have a playoff win. And I'm like, for somebody as good and who is so dedicated and is so wears like what Steeler football should be and what our culture has historically been, to see him come up empty-handed. And I'm sure he even feels that way about just like his teammates in general. It's not just him, which is why he's such a successful football player, because he's not at the end of the day going, I don't have this, I don't have that. He's like, how can I get better so that we're winning as a team, which makes him so successful. So yes, do I think his prime has been wasted? Absolutely, I do. And, you know, again, that's pointing fingers at a lot, not just one person does that fall on. But, you know, as a coach, when you're looking at, and I mean, I feel like some of us can speak to that because, like, I'm a coach. So, you know, I look at players and I go, okay, this is their strength, and this is what I can do to equip them to make sure that they're doing their job the best that they can. I'm not an NFL coach, so I know that there's a lot more to it than just looking at it from, you know, a distance. But as somebody who has that coaching experience, you're looking at your team going, how do I equip this team to make it be the best that it can be? And I feel like we started to head in that direction this year on paper.
Yep.
But again, we're a little too late. Like, why are we just now trying to get it all figured out, you know, and then watch it blow up in our face? With Cam, I like seeing him get fired up? Yes. Do I feel like he's that leader, like standing up for himself? Yes. I think, though, it got into his head too much. And I feel like we played with a little too much. We let emotions get the best of us, and we're getting like fired up in not exactly the best way. So I like when we're fired up, but I feel like it got a little too much to him and a little out of control. That's just my personal hot take. And then just something to bring up, James, to what you have been saying. Shout out to Henry, because I know he's listening. But Henry all season long has said, why I don't know what difference this could potentially make, but he has been so dead set on this. Why are we not putting YA Black at nose and moving Benton to the end? Because if you put YA at nose, easily he's got to take two people, and he can do that. He's a big boy. Yeah. You know, so little changes like that I'm like, if Henry, who knows so much about football, like his football IQ's out the door, and he's saying this since the season started, like, why is that change not happening? Mm-hmm. Or just at least try it. You know, we're trying everything else. You know, we're spinning the wheel of all of these schemes that we're putting out for our defensive guys. Why not try that? You know, what's the worst that could happen? I feel like we're already seeing the worst that's happening. Like, what else could go?
I don't even think we're seeing schemes. I think we're seeing the same things over and over and over again with different players in those positions, and like specifically with injuries, not with your idea of actually trying different people out in different positions. So,
but I'm like, try it. See what's the worst that could happen.
I don't think it could be any worse.
Right.
And I think getting Benton in a little more open space would be a good thing for his skill set. I think he's a little quicker guy and a little bit better on the pass rush moves, which you typically want further outside so that it's not so easily double teamed. So I think, that's something a lot of people have floated this year. And I think that might be a good long-term solution, is kicking Benton to an end and YA on the inside.
Yeah. So I'd love to see that, because I feel like, and then you get Harmon back. I mean, we've talked about our line. Our line is stout. Like, when they're playing to the caliber that they need to be playing, they're good. So, but I feel like that those little details where it's like put him at the nose and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then Tomlin being on the hot seat. Yes, of course he should be on the hot seat. And this is a hot take that I stated on this podcast when I was on it the very first time, many a moons ago. Yes, Tomlin is a good coach. I'm not going to take away some of the things, that his accolades and whatnot, but I said it from the beginning. Tomlin took Cowher's team to the Super Bowl.
So Jill, I'm going to counter you, and I've been saying the same thing for a while. I'm only countering you because I do believe James has made good points about the number of players that have been on that team.
Correct.
And it's not as high, but those players led that locker room with a Cowher mentality. That's what I'll say. And when that mentality left, I think a lot of our grit left with it.
Yes. And so I feel like there's a lot. And again, we don't know. So making these statements, not knowing at all what's going on in the locker room. However, you can kind of tell on the field what goes on in the locker room, where we have our defense that has no identity. Like Debo was on his podcast talking about, like, if there was no Dick LeBeau, there would be no James Harrison. Like that kind of coaching where you're ingraining something other than just like football. It's those soft skills of like grit and perseverance and making sure being selfless, like those soft skills that all come with playing a sport that these professional athletes need to continue to learn and grasp. And so you've got somebody like that where you're learning those grit. And I just don't feel like that's happening now, because if we are not creating these turnovers, or if we do create two turnovers, we still look like we're lost and we can't stop a run game. Like our whole defensive identity is stop the run and create a turnover. Well, when you only get two turnovers and then you don't stop the run, it's like we forget how to do everything else, And so I just feel like there's been a lack of focus, specifically when it comes to like locker room and what we're not seeing. Like whatever kind of conversations are going on where it's like, let's raise these athletes up. Let's do this. And even, Tomlin doesn't have a coaching tree. Like that's another thing I think about with like coaching. It's like you want to leave a legacy, right? So I feel like it's just been, and like, yes, of course, the buck stop, like it starts and stops with the head coach. But like you should be training other people up as you're going so that when you leave a program, it's better than when you started. And I feel like it's the complete opposite. We're just getting to the point where either maybe he's mentally done and doesn't want to be a coach, or at least for the Steelers anymore. It just feels like there's no investment from him. And we're getting, anytime he has a press conference, he's like shaking off answers or dismissing or being passive about how he wants to answer anything instead of taking ownership. Like, it's not going well. We have to make changes. I'd rather hear you be honest about the fact that it's not going well than dismiss and be like, well, the standard is the standard. Well, the standard's crap. That's what the standard is. Literally.
I think he is slowly getting there where he's like, this is the most unhinged interviews I've seen with Tomlin, where he is saying things.
Right.
So I'll give him that. But why did it have to take to now? Like we were and Nick, we're going to get to your answers. I promise. We've been every single problem we're experiencing now. We've experienced the last 5 to 6 years with different coordinators, different players, different faces, different names. The one that stayed the same is Tomlin. And that's where my frustration comes from.
Yeah.
And I do love him as a person. Mike Tomlin is an awesome man of faith. And I love that about him. And hearing him talk about his belief and with God and all those things, he's a great leader in the sense of allowing some of them younger ones, when they come out of college, these young men to see that kind of, leadership. But I don't think he's leading this team at all. It doesn't feel like it at all. And that's the frustrating part, because I don't think Terrell Austin should be in a defensive coordinator position next year. And I hope he makes that change. But coming from Mike Tomlin, where he is a defensive-minded head coach, quote unquote, to see your defense consistently lack any performance that we're used to seeing. And yes, they're forcing turnovers, 2 turnovers early in the game. That's great. But in my mind, that's still luck. Like, in my opinion, they didn't force the fumble. That was James Cook's knee that popped that ball out. Was he moved or hit with a hand? Yes, but that wasn't a guy punching a ball out or anything. That was his knee poking the ball out. And sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. James and I talked about that before when Dante Jackson was coming off with 4 or 6 interceptions. Like sometimes it's just right spot, right time. It's not actually making a play. And so my frustration comes from the tired, my brain and my body is so tired of watching this team make changes well after the fact. And we talked about it during the game where when there's been cancer in the locker room and James is like, well, they trade him. And I agree, James, but it's always during the offseason. Make a stand for your team right now and say enough is enough. You're causing drama. You're gone. I don't care if we get a 6th for you and you're the star player on offense. If you're causing disruption to the team mentality and the team chemistry, get out, period, point blank. So that's my opinion on it. I don't mean to, Jill, take over your thoughts. I just want to get that out there real quick. Jill, finish up your stuff, and then we'll let Nick go.
Well, and even like you're talking about, defensive coordinators, to be honest, okay, so what? We get rid of Terrell. Like nothing, in my opinion, would change. Like
because Tomlin runs the show.
Which I feel like states everything we've been saying. Like there have been changes at all the positions, and it hasn't changed our winningest average 10-7 first round playoff blowout, and I just, for a city that has been behind this team, you think about, and of course things have to change. I just started like 12 thoughts right then and there, but things have to change. It's not the 70s. It's not the 70s style football, which I feel like a lot of our fan base is still rooted in. It's like, this is 70s football. Like football is different now, and like even just society as a whole is different. So you have to get out of that mindset. But at the same time, those concepts of grit and perseverance and selflessness when it comes to being on your team and doing what you need to do and doing your job well and not being like sugarcoating everything. I'm not necessarily saying that we have that with like specific players now, but just overall in general, it feels soft. Like coverage is soft. Like we just play soft instead of having that aggressive grit, pedal to the metal. Let's play a good game of football, or we'll see glimpses of it, or we'll see like just the offense do it, or we'll just see.
Or there's just certain players. There's certain players that I think have it.
Yeah.
Which is a good segue into what I was going to say. And Cody, I know you have lots of thoughts and lots of things to say, but let me get my thoughts out here. So,
I got you, sunshine. I'm muted.
Great thoughts, Jill. And it segues perfectly into what I wanted to say. Is Tomlin in the hot seat? I think he should be. I don't think he is, because I think the Rooneys are allergic to change. I think the Rooneys need to start realizing we're not in the 70s anymore. Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Like they took forever to change from Noel to Cowher, and they took forever to change from Cowher to Tomlin, and I think they're going to take forever to change from Tomlin to somebody else. And I think it's often been that defensive mentality, and as you said, the offense is becoming more of a focal point in the NFL. You see them making rules to make the offense more exciting, to make the product more exciting. So it's shifting from that, and it's not a defensive game anymore. This is no longer the days of the forward pass not being a thing. We have different elements to the game now, and I think the Rooneys tend to be a little bit allergic to that change. And I know we've already brought it up, and I know James has already refuted it, but it still feels like Tomlin was a merchant of Cowher's mentality or team or whatever it was bleeding into the beginning of his tenure. Because when you have guys like Bell, Roethlisberger, Brown on your team, and you can't get it done with that crew, the Killer Bees era, you can't get it. I'm pretty sure Cam was there for that part, and Boz was there. Did we have TJ at that point? I don't remember, but
no.
We had the weapons and the element. Like you still had.
I think we had Bud Dupree.
Right. Well, Bud Dupree was a stud in his time too. Like when, you know what I mean? It was
the last year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but even so, like you had all these weapons and you got it done at one point, but then it sort of just kind of has slowly become more and more of this. Oh, there's cancers in the locker room, and it's a constant story. You have a cancer in the locker room that's causing things to not go well, and that's suddenly not the fault of the head coach, because that's kind of his job to rein that crap in. And if the other coaches can't do it, well, you're the top of the ladder there, buddy. You're the head coach. That's something you got to rein in. There was another podcast I was watching, and I can't remember who it was to give credit, but they were talking a bit about the potential of trading Tomlin to the Giants for a pick or something along those lines. And they also brought up how we got Arthur Smith and how everyone's like, oh, we could have got this guy or we could have got that guy. And they're like, well, no, we couldn't have, because Tomlin calls all the plays and nobody wants to go be an offensive coordinator for somebody who's calling all the shots and who doesn't give you. So I don't know how much of that is true, but it was an interesting point to be raised of like Arthur Smith was coming out of a job. He just got fired from a job. So that's how we were able to get him and not another guy. So it's frustrating when you see this sort of trickle down effect of the top not being able to, and obviously it's not an easy job to be a head coach in the NFL. You've got to control the offense, the defense. You kind of have your hand in everything. So it's like, I get that it's not an easy thing to do, but when you consistently for years are putting out a product that's just good enough to not get to where you need to either be winning or losing to the point where you can rebuild your team to be winning, it's a frustrating year after year situation to be in. And the one consistent factor throughout all of that time has been the head coach and the upper management, which is, well, not the GM, but we love Omar Khan, but the owners, yes. So that's my Tomlinism thoughts. Cam, no qualms. You get knee in the stomach, you go out there and defend yourself. You're a grown man. I have no problems. I don't think he even got flagged for any of it. If he did, it was like once. And
I think he got flagged once, but it would put him one more penalty. He would have been ejected like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So he reined it in at that point. He was like, okay, I can't be doing that stuff. So would I have liked to have seen him get none of those penalties? But do I understand you get knee in the stomach, you're going to go out there and defend yourself? Yes. And he reined it in at that point. So if I was in that situation, probably would have honestly done the same thing. Can't fault the guy too much. That's all I got on Cam. Have we wasted TJ's career? Yes. We have not gotten him a playoff win, as Jill already mentioned. That's shameful. We need to get this man some better. I mean, does he have the Pro Bowls? Does he have the sack titles? Yes. Does he have what we should have gotten him, which is a ring or at least a playoff win or two, maybe, get him a little bit further? Yes. I believe the furthest we made it into the playoffs was we had a bye and then we played the Jaguars and we got
Molly
in that game. Yeah, Molly. Well, I believe we scored pretty highly.
We scored 38. They scored 40 plus, if I remember.
Yeah. Like so the defense sold on that one.
Defense-minded head coach couldn't get it done in the playoffs. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think Terrell Austin should also be in the hot seat, as we've been mentioning. When Matt Canada was performing to a similar level, we were chanting Fire Canada, and I heard the Fire Tomlin chants, but I haven't heard the Fire Austin ones yet, and I think they need to be coming.
Well, that's true. And I think we're teetering Canada level. Like if I see
on the Austin side, you mean?
Because
both sides.
On both sides.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's about right. It's both on, but both coordinators should be in that Canada
discussion.
Yeah.
I want to speak to specifically one thing James said and one thing Nick said real quick, and then we can go into our normal breakdown of this bullshit.
You're in for the long haul with us, folks.
Yeah. And this is what happens sometimes when the team plays really well. We're gonna have longer shows and really praise the guys, and sometimes when this is what we're getting, we got to talk about it. Nick, the one thing I want to say to you with or discuss with, like you saying, Tomlin calls the shots. I think Tomlin has a style of football that he wants to play, and he gives it to their coordinators and say, make this work. That's what I feel like's happening. I obviously Tomlin's not calling the plays on either side of the ball.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Didn't verbalize it well.
But because of how consistent these things have been, I understand wanting to get the ball into the playmakers of Kenneth Gainwell, who can make a guy miss, and Jaylen Warren. But I feel like that is a blueprint that Tomlin is saying, get the ball to these guys. And what better way to do it than these screen plays and dump offs? And that's why we do that. So that's where I think that's coming from. The defensive side of the ball, don't get me started because my brain can't go there right now. And then James, you were talking about there being a drop off with the standard being the standard, the backups play. And you said the problem is there's a huge drop off. I almost think the problem is there's not. I think the problem is our starters are playing just as bad as potentially the backups could be playing.
My message on that was not that. It's that you have players like Cam Hayward that are still playing at a high level, and then a guy standing right next to him who wouldn't start for 31 teams.
That's fair.
That's what I was saying on that, is that there's such a huge variance on the level of play that we're getting out of the starters that it doesn't even get to the backups not being as good as the starters.
Perfect.
Because the starters aren't playing good enough.
It's right where I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just miscommunications of verbalization on a lot of our things. But I'm glad that, Cody, you were able to say mine better and that James was able to clarify his.
Yeah. And I just want to say one thing real quick on the whole, like, Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin transition. As someone who's a little bit older than you youngins, I remember the year after Pittsburgh won Super Bowl 40. And Pittsburgh was a mediocre team that year. I think they went 8-8. And Bill Cowher didn't have it. He didn't care whether they won or lost. There was no fire that year. The jaw was tucked all the way back into his chest. He didn't care. It was like he was on a retirement tour going from one city to another. And I would say there is absolutely no chance they win another Super Bowl if Cowher remains the head coach. It had to be another guy. Did it have to be Mike Tomlin? Who knows? But Mike Tomlin's who we got, and we did get a Super Bowl shortly thereafter. A decent amount of turnover. It was like half of the starters were gone at that point. But you did have 3 years in between those two teams. And Cowher wasn't going to win another one. And he kind of went out on his own accord. He wanted to retire. He didn't want to coach anymore. But, I feel like if we don't start seeing some fire out of Tomlin on the sidelines where guys – I honestly, I want to see someone come to the sideline after making a big mistake and Tomlin grab him by the jersey and cuss him out. I want to see that. I know it's not his style, but it needs to be done because it makes it look like there's no consequences for bad play. Because Tomlin's so worried about not throwing his players under the bus and being like a good player's coach and handling it all behind closed doors that nobody thinks that he's actually holding anyone accountable for not playing well.
Well, and then just, because we might as well pose the question, but do you think that causes strain between player and player? Because you've got Aaron Rodgers who's cussing. Now, granted, some of it, like, buddy, you threw poorly there. You cannot be mad and expect your player to catch that terrible ball. But, like, you see these players, like, yelling at each other. Like, what are you doing? Like, does that cause tension between the players? Because, yes, you're being a leader, but that should also be coming from your coaches.
It should be, but I think that, honestly, it's more clout coming from Aaron Rodgers than it would be from any of the coaches.
Yeah.
He's done so much in his career that if I'm Mike Tomlin, I give Rodgers all the rope in the world and tell him, hey, do whatever you want to do with these guys because I feel like you can probably lead them better than my coordinator can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of damning of your coordinator to be able to say something like that. But it's getting them, like, constructive criticism right away.
Right.
Like, they're learning right away what their mistake is rather than 2 days later watching film. And I think most guys learn better that way. Like, most people in general, I think, learn better that way. Just as, like, tell me right away. If I mess up, I need to know right away. So it's like immediately in my brain. It's like teaching a dog when they've done something wrong. If you don't correct them within like 5 seconds, it's too late. You're scolding them for something they did 10 seconds ago. They already forgot what they did. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and from what we hear, who knows if they're even paying attention during film?
Yep.
That
and I don't
comment
even
made by Aaron Rodgers after the game.
Right, and I don't even need necessarily the cussing out to start, but do something when they come off the sideline. Give them a coaching moment. It doesn't even necessarily have to be an angry moment. Instead of Cody says all the time, I'm tired of seeing Tomlin's confused
just
face.
look at the screen.
Me too, on the sideline. Yeah, just looking at the screen. Sidney Sloth eyes are about to fall off his head because he's not doing anything. There's nothing going on up there. He's not coaching, and we've got a coach right here who can tell us if you don't coach your player, they're not going to learn anything from it.
As you guys aren't in our group chat if you're listening or watching this, and so I'm going to be the cool-headed person for a minute, which doesn't happen often.
We're all catching Cody's negative Nancy.
You are, and let's be respectful to Tomlin in this moment. Say nothing's going on and he's not thinking about anything. I think he's thinking too much. I think he's
probably
rather than he's looking at the play trying to figure out what went wrong. Just go talk to your player. The only time I've seen him do that is with those problem guys, with the Antonio Browns, with the George Pickens. It's with those troubled individuals that he goes over and pats them on the back and talks to them. Like, no, talk to the
But it's
guys
only
that are
on-
making.
It's only on the crash out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only the crash outs. That's fair.
It's not in a moment of, hey, you undercut or you overthrew or you didn't do the thing you were supposed to be doing. Here's how you can improve in your technical or your route running or
I've
all
never
just
seen him
when
talking to
it's-
a coordinator during the game. Not once have I seen
No,
him
yeah.
in communications with a coordinator.
Yep,
Well, and
he
it's
doesn't
just-
communicate with the players or the coordinators, and it's only the crash outs for some reason.
Well,
And
But
the
if-
offensive coordinator would all be through the headset because he's upstairs. So
True.
that's not going to be a face-to-face conversation ever.
well,
But with him being a defensive-minded head coach, he doesn't talk to his defensive coordinator ever. I've never seen him next to Terrell Austin on any video clip ever. So, and now I'm going to start watching that so I don't like step over my own words or stumble. So I'm going to be watching for that.
but I
Yeah,
feel
we'll
like
have to pay better attention because usually you see him either congratulate a player when they do something good, or staring up at the jumbotron, or talking to a crash out. Those are the three things I see him communicating on.
Right. Well, and to your point, it shouldn't just be a crash out. Well, one, because these are grown men who should be taught how to regulate their feelings and not be crashing out on a sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not what Tomlin should be doing, is managing emotions. Like, that's ridiculous. And I
But-
understand that as a coach, because I do have to do that. Like, I have to figure out which athlete is, you have to think about each athlete and how they process certain things and but yada, yada, yada. But the difference for me is I'm coaching teenagers who do not have a fully developed brain. He's coaching professional grown men who are at a stage in life where they are fully developed and they should know how to do that.
And getting paid millions of dollars to do something.
You're not being held there against your will. You are signing up to do a job and you're not doing your job. You should be able to be corrected about your job without a crash out.
Mm-hmm.
I-
Like those temper tantrums probably should have been coached out of them at the college level.
Correct.
That's not
Correct.
something that should follow them into professional ball.
Correct.
No, but that goes into a whole nother thing where
Right.
college football is so corrupt with the money and stuff. I'm not even gonna get involved.
We you know what? That's a great
It's gotten worse.
that's a great off-season conversation.
That is.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal offseason conversation. Stay
Gotcha.
tuned for this offseason if you guys want to come
Yeah.
back and check it out. There's an episode all year long during the offseason.
We'll revisit it.
Let's go ahead and bounce into the game and talk about stuff. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers first, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the image up for you guys right now. This is his passing chart. That's not his passing chart.
Nope.
This is his
That is
passing
his
chart
passing
for the
chart.
game. Again, I'm seeing too many throws behind the line of scrimmage. You have 4 on the left side, 1 in the middle, and then 2 on the right. That's still 7 passes out of 21. That's 1/3 of the passes are going to or behind the line of scrimmage. That's just bad numbers to ever try to move the ball, in my opinion. And only 117 yards on the game. Yeah, he had some bad throws deep downfield, but you really, again, we had one pass that I asked for between the hashes further than 5 yards downfield. And of course, it comes in garbage time. It comes when it doesn't matter. We need to be doing that the whole time throughout the game, using the whole portion of the field, just not the outside. I mean, you have only 4, maybe 5 passes that I would even qualify as the inside of the field or and so that's just very
Hey, it's an
frustrating
improvement
for me.
from 1. It's an improvement from 1.
The chart's a little funky, though. We're missing the incomplete pass over the middle to Jonnu because that was not a 4-yard pass. And it was right down the pipes.
Oh, no, but they have where Jonnu was, not where the ball went. So Jonnu's over on the right side.
Gotcha. So there's none of this is ball placement. It's on wherever the intended receiver was.
Correct. Where he
So that's
technically
really
missed his
misleading.
target.
I wish I would have known that earlier in the season because that can be pretty misleading then.
Yeah, it can be. I'll get that. But yeah, do you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and that target? We already talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, in general, just let's be real. Aaron didn't have a great performance again in this game, right? The sack that he took was on him. He made the correct move in the pocket and then hung onto the ball. He had to get rid of it there. So the sack, the fumble, and the recovery for a touchdown, which completely swung the momentum of the game, was on him. So yeah, that's not great. He missed a wide open Roman Wilson again. That's the second week in a row. And then the miscommunication with Jonnu Smith, which Cody's going to pull up for us here. He audibled at the line of scrimmage. He told Jonnu, hey, I need you to run a slant, basically a post pattern over the middle. Unfortunately, Jonnu at the snap is looking at his feet instead of back at the quarterback, runs his original route instead of running the route he was supposed to, which would have been a post right over the middle of the field, which is where he threw it. If you look at pre-snap on here, you see both Pat Fryermuth and the receiver at the bottom. I think it's Roman Wilson down there. Both of them are looking back at Rodgers pre-snap.
Yeah.
Jonnu's not. He's looking straight ahead. He missed the audible. This is basic stuff. And that's exactly why Aaron was so mad, because this was an easy touchdown if Jonnu runs the right route. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week. It's a shame that Pat Fryermuth is getting so few targets and so little involvement in the game for a guy that's not even paying attention pre-snap and running the wrong routes.
Yep.
So to me, like, let's bump Jonnu down to the number 3 tight end and put him on the field 10 or 15 times a game, because he can't be trusted to even pay attention at the beginning of the snap to know where he's supposed to run. Like, I get it, you still lose the game if he runs the right route there. It's 26-14 instead. But, man, it looks a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And it's an offensive score instead of a defensive one.
And a
well, the other one was offensive, technically.
Everyone's asking for is deep passes over between the hashes. It was between the hashes, right down the pipes. Aaron looked off the safety. Everything was perfect except for Jonnu running the wrong dang route.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trade Jonnu to a
going
tight
back to what
end
you said.
EDT.
Going back to what you said, James. that doesn't get us the win.
Nope.
And I don't even know if that would make me happy enough to be excited for this offense again. Like,
but it changes momentum in the game, and that changes everything. Like,
agreed.
When you have failed opportunities in the red zone over and over, like we've seen the last few weeks, there's 2 of them in this week's game alone.
Well, let's talk about the other one.
On 4th and 2.
On 4th and 2, you're going to give it to your smallest running back with no lead blocker. There's
and run
3
away
big,
from the power.
And run away from. That's what I'm saying. Run right up the middle, and all your power's on the right side.
Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington are both on the right side. Darnell ran a route on that play.
Mm-hmm.
He ran a route and looked back like he was expecting a ball to be thrown to him, and we ran the opposite side. And guess who got absolutely smoked in his run blocking capabilities on that play? Jonnu Smith. Oh, imagine that. The guy that made the tackle, Jonnu was supposed to be blocking. He let him beat him right over his face, right inside, and tackled him and gave him nowhere to go. Like, he couldn't cut back because here comes somebody who's screaming down the line of scrimmage because Jonnu didn't block him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Here it is.
Ugh.
Look at that. If you can see Jonnu's jersey number, you know he's screwed up.
Well, and there was was it Jonnu on the play that they were trying to hit DK in the end zone on the other time they were attempting a fourth? It was close. It was maybe third down in the red zone, and they attempt a pass to DK on the outside, and there was an unblocked individual on the right side or the left side of the defense, right side if you're on offense, and he just comes crashing in and is in Rodgers' face in 0.2 seconds, and so obviously also Darnell or DK got locked up at the line, but still just Rodgers gets immediately blown up. I'm wondering if that was Jonnu on that blocking assignment there.
That was more just the play call because that was technically a run play that Rodgers decided to throw out of instead. So that was just nobody was really supposed to be pass blocking. Everyone was supposed to be run blocking, which means you're just going to have people unaccounted for.
I also wonder if this was an RPO, if it was a run pass option and he had the option to throw to Darnell, because I like Darnell's chances of getting this first down.
That should have been it right there. I mean,
Darnell against that corner, he's getting the first down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you get it to him early enough.
Yeah.
That's all you needed right here was a first down.
So even the fact that was an option, that should have never been a run option in that formation in that direction, in my unprofessional opinion.
Everybody else blocks it up on that. And you're going to see it again later on in the game, too. There was a 3rd and 9 where he ran the ball to the right-hand side and gets stopped 2 yards short. Everybody blocked it up except for one guy, and this time it was Calvin Austin. And at the beginning of the play, Calvin Austin doesn't even look like he knows where he's supposed to go. eventually realizes he's supposed to go get a safety, tries to block him, but gets dominated because he's a 165-pound wide receiver trying to block a safety. Who makes the tackle? The safety, 2 yards short of the first. If that's even a 185-pound wide receiver, he probably holds up enough that Jalen can get past him and go get the first down. It's just there's certain guys that are just not big enough to play the game, and Calvin is just not big enough.
Before we go too off the rails, going back to Rodgers slightly, I will say he was still playing with that fractured wrist. It doesn't excuse the decision-making on the scoop and score play or some of the other things that were done during this game, but some of that was play calling. But some of those deep throws I think can be attributed to that wrist still nagging him. And then he did have to come out of the game after the big Bosa hit on that play that led to that loss of that ball. So I won't excuse him for the poor play, but there was something to be said about either one, trotting him out there when he was still hurt, having that injury, or two, putting him back out there after the Rudolph thing. You might want to see what you have in Will Howard for a little bit. It didn't really seem like the game was winnable at that point anyway, once the momentum shifted, but who could say?
I guess my frustration is how are we going to give him a little bit of leeway because his left wrist hurt that he overthrew a receiver? I don't know. That's just tough for me.
I thought it might have been his throwing wrist, but that's on me.
No. I broke my left wrist and I played. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wasn't throwing like an NFL player, but I mean, I've broken my left wrist and my right wrist, and when my left wrist was broken, it didn't affect my right wrist, and when my right wrist was broken, it didn't affect my left wrist. So I don't know.
Right, and to be fair, I thought it was his throwing hand. I didn't realize.
Yeah, no.
But also to get the snap. Now, to be fair, also Zach Frazier had a very bad snap on one of them.
Yeah.
But to receive the ball, you're using two hands on the snap there. So it's if it's not a direct handoff, you're using.
They did show slow-mo, and he was primarily stopping the ball with his throwing hand, and then allowing his offhand.
Right, but that's already more time to
agreed.
Adjust.
Oh, agreed. I agree.
So
but they had all week to practice this.
Right, but it's still impacting your play because you can practice all you want, but it's not going to change the fact that you still have to use this hand to get the ball, bring it back in, and now you're back here as opposed to I've got it, I'm back, I'm ready to throw. So it affects the processing time at least slightly on each play.
That's fair. I'll give you that a little bit. But
only a little though.
Only a little.
It is only a little. It's a lot less than I thought.
It's like 5% or less that it affects.
It's a lot of
right.
It's
a lot less than I thought it was.
They literally had him playing in a pistol formation.
That's what I was going to say. He was in
to get him away from the under center snap.
Because he couldn't take snap under center.
And then when Mason went in, they did the same thing.
Yeah.
Why? Mason?
Because that's what. Yeah. That's what the entire playbook was built around for this week, was around Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So that's what the play was, and honestly, that doesn't make a difference on Mason coming into the game. Let's just cover him real quick because that only takes 2 seconds. He throws 3 balls. The first one goes directly in the dirt. DK was wide open. It was actually a good concept. They had trips formation, which we don't see anywhere near enough with these big bodies. You should run that a lot. Because honestly, with them running their routes is just going to naturally pick defenders off. It goes right to the ground. Like DK's open. It's only going to be like a 5-yard pass, but he's open and nobody's around him and it goes into the dirt. He has no chance of catching the ball. And then he follows it up. He decides that just wasn't good enough to be his worst pass of the game by overthrowing Darnell on the left side. Darnell's got somebody behind him, somebody shallow of him, somebody on the inside. He's there. But he threw it so high that a 6'7" guy jumping as high as he could with really long arms, by the way, which means he don't even have to jump to be 9 feet off the ground with those arms fully stretched out. So he's a good 10 feet plus up in the air and still overthrows him. Mm-hmm. That's a really bad overthrow, to overthrow somebody that tall with that long of arms that was fully extended and jumping. Like, you're not even close when you do that. So just Mason coming out and stinking it up that badly. That's a tougher throw. I'll give him credit. Like the DK throws a much easier one, but he wasn't even remotely close to on in this game. And that left you no choice but to play with Rodgers.
If you're going to overthrow on that play, you need to be throwing it out of bounds because he overthrew him to the point where it was still a catchable ball for the guy that was deep beyond him. Yeah. If you're going to try to make a technical play, you got to have the confidence to be able to make it to the point where it's catchable for your receiver or catchable for no one. and that was not
I would
catchable for his
argue.
receiver.
I would argue, based on watching the replay about 7 times right now, that this ball was catchable. I'm not putting. Look at where this placement is. And they don't show.
Let me just get really close.
They don't. Unfortunately, I wish they showed a replay. Or I might look for a replay.
It's overthrown, Cody.
I'll find it.
He's jumping as high as he can on that.
Well, his feet are 3 inches off the ground in this picture.
He had to stop and backpedal because of how badly thrown it was.
And if you let it go, but if you let it go further too, I believe the receiver still the defender still have to jump to catch it too?
I don't know. He might have jumped, but it wasn't because he had to. No, he's on the
defender's 5 yards past him, so it hit him right in the chest.
Yeah. I'm gonna do some research while we discuss more. Let's talk off Jalen Ramsey. Let's talk Jalen Warren a little bit.
Warren at least gave us a little bit of fight on the offensive side. Was it as much as you'd like in the run game? No. Did he have some successful plays here and there? Yes. The touchdown run was a real nice run where he found a crease and got in the end zone. So I felt like Jalen at least represented himself well in the game. And we'll give Kenny credit too. That one-handed catch on the sideline was one hell of a catch. Yeah. I don't know how he pulls that thing in, but he just keeps on showing week after week that his receiving skills are incredible. And maybe that's the transition. Maybe we just start playing, Kenny Gainwell as a slot wide receiver instead of playing him as much at running back. His skill set says he can handle it. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is a missed opportunity here where Kenny should be running more routes. Other than the fact that last week he wasn't sure where to line up and caused a penalty because he didn't line up covering the offensive tackle up. Outside of that, hey, the kid's got some pretty serious receiving skills.
Yeah. But overall, our running game was terrible. We had 30 rushing yards? 30?
I think Warren had 35 himself and 20 out of Gainwell. So not good.
No, very bad.
Yeah. Against that defense,
right,
was the 30th worst in the NFL. I mean, that's part of the problem with your passing game being so bad is that they just sold out against the run on every play.
Mm-hmm.
Because they knew that Aaron couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in this game, so it didn't matter. You don't have to play deep if the team can't pass the ball.
Right.
You got to be able to at least complete some throws.
I almost wanted to bring this up in the Tomlin conversation too, and maybe I should save it for the defense. I'll save it for the defense. We'll get there.
So I found one to show you guys, and I slowed it down so you can kind of really tell. And I'll agree it was overthrown, but I also think it was an impressive throw by him because of where he had to place it because of the 2 guys underneath. I mean, it wasn't far off, but it was enough.
Well, yeah, right in the numbers for.
I don't know. I don't know how many of you watch depressed Cowboys fan on TikTok, but he always goes, "Look at this impressive throw by the quarterback to the defense."
Yeah.
Case in point.
Yeah. I just want to give Mason props in that situation because Mason came in obviously not warmed up quite well at that point. I'm not trying to say anything like that, but like how often do you see guys come in and struggle on their first drive? Every time I've seen someone like Dylan Gabriel when he came in for injured, whoever got injured, Shadur Sanders, everyone that I've seen this year come in for someone that got injured or something doesn't come out and play phenomenal. Like, I don't want to
guys
say
you just mentioned are rookies for the Cleveland Browns. This is a terrible prop to try to give someone. It's a participation trophy. Don't give him any props. It was bad. We love Mason on this show, but he was bad.
2 weeks ago, Mason came in cold in a game and had 2 awesome drives and did not miss throws. So I just can't be on board with that thought process.
That's fine. I just don't want to kill the guy for this one situation.
We're not trying to kill the guy. This was a bad showing.
I would have, but I still would have rather seen Mason play than Rodgers come back in dealing with all the whatever injuries were going on now.
I would have rather seen Will Howard because Mason was stinking the place up. Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is the guy who saved Christmas Forever when he beat the Bengals. But he goes out there and throws an interception that's a killer. And then the play before that, the ball in the dirt, he was shaken and rattled. And he was out there for longer than that. And he threw one more pass and the rest was bad run plays.
He was over 3.
Yeah. It's
the product
two
was not
weeks in a
good.
row, right? It's 2 weeks in a row of Mason not looking good on the field. So honestly, one of the things I want to see changed is I want to see Will Howard as the number 2 quarterback next week behind Rodgers. Like, I don't know at what point we want to think that Mason is going to turn into like some superstar quarterback. He's like 30 years old. He's been a career backup for a reason. He's had some good games here and there. But the reason he's still a backup is because he's had so many bad games.
Right.
And I don't think at this point it's just going to magically start getting better.
Obviously, we talked running backs already. I want to kind of get the ball rolling on some stuff. Darnell Washington led the team in receiving yards with 2 catches for 45. DK had 3 for 32. Kenneth Gainwell had 2 for 25. And I like their averages. The problem is it all came in garbage time. Darnell,
other than the first drive, but
yeah. Darnell 22.5 average per reception, DK 10.7 yards per reception, and then Kenneth Gainwell 12.5. Again, that's a running back. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one guy in every position. It's a tight end, running back, and a receiver. But when your running back and tight end both have better averages than your big time receiver, that's a problem to me. And I don't like it. Jalen Warren, 2 catches for 9 yards, and then Jonnu Smith 1 for 6.
I think it's something we have to expect, though, because it's DK and then who? Because Calvin Austin has not been a bright spot. Rodgers has been missing Roman Wilson. There's no other receiver there. So you're going to see them double DK. You're going to see them triple
That's
DK
fair.
if they can.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to see your tight ends pick up the slack because the backup receiver, they're not the backup receivers. This other starting wide receivers are not pulling their weight. So until we get somebody to come into that spot, I saw Will Howard reshare a Carnell Lake highlight. So clearly we know who he wants drafted. But, it's one of those things where it's like if you keep trotting out receivers, it's similar to like we were talking about with the Darius Slay conversation. If you keep giving opportunities to guys who aren't producing, you're not going to be able to have a wide receiver 2 to go out there and be that guy who can be the hero when they start doubling your wide receiver 1. And then you need that guy because then your wide receiver 1 frees up because they start diverting some attention to him. So until you get that guy, it's going to have to be somebody else. And that's why right now it's Darnell or Gainwell or somebody else.
Yes, but we've been talking about trying to target tight ends because we're not utilizing all of our offensive threats that we do have. Yes, do we still need a receiver? Sure. I get that because DK is being double covered, but DK also, we've talked about this before where he's not always getting the catches that he should. Like there's some effort on his part that he's not pulling his weight all the time for how massive he is. And then again, Muth had 0 targets.
Yep.
Criminal.
Problem.
0.
Criminal.
Not a single freaking target for him the whole
And
game.
she didn't want to say frickin'.
I didn't. So many other curse words I would like to say, but I will not. But so I have a hard time going for we don't have these other receivers. We're not even utilizing the tight ends we actually do have who are reliable. Muth catches the ball. Yep. Everybody's going to have their mistakes, but he catches the ball. So why are we not targeting him? Then you start to target Mount Washington. Then their defense gets confused. Like, dang it, if they see Washington and Muth out there and DK out there, they're like, who do we go after?
We're not scheming our guys open enough. Period. Point blank. It's not happening.
So to me, I'm just receiver argument, not directed at you, just in general with Steelers. Yeah. The receiver argument makes me mad because we don't even utilize the people that we actually have on the team well. So what? Bring in another George Pickens so that we only throw to him again? And
I think it's a yes and. I think it's a yes and though, because yes, we need to scheme the guys open too, but I think that's still why we're seeing a tight end get it instead of a wide receiver, because that's the complaint is we're not targeting. We don't have the wide receiver rooms being the top of the room, right. So, which is what it's in the name of the position. It's wide receiver. So it's a yes and not a no but, because we have to scheme them open. But also when they're open, Rodgers doesn't hit Roman Wilson. Calvin Austin drops a ball, it's one of those types of things too, where we need you're gonna have. It's easier for the defense to prevent you from scheming them open when they know who to cover, and when you're not hitting the guys that are the other options too. So if you don't scheme them open, problem there. If you don't have the guys that can do the job, problem there.
Oh, no.
And if you have one guy that can do the job who's half doing the job and gets double covered, problem there. So it's a perfect storm of we suck at football right now.
Correct.
The one thing that I will say, and this is I think addressing all the issues to some extent, outside of the guys not catching the ball and
Fire
overthrowing
Tomlin.
them. No,
Fire Tomlin.
James, it wasn't me this time. I genuinely think any offensive coordinator in the college football top 25 could write up better game plans than what we're getting at Arthur Smith.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
No.
It's not good enough. I can't possibly defend Arthur Smith. I mean, there's a lot of poor execution going on the field, but the play calls aren't good enough. There's too many times in this game where I agreed with Cody, and that's bad. Because anytime the play doesn't work, Cody always blames the play call, and a lot of times I'll say, well, there was this here or that there, and a poor decision by the quarterback or a bad throw or somebody ran the wrong route or somebody dropped the ball, and there was no explaining away a lot of this in this game. There's just a lot of bad calls.
The 3rd and 9 run, and I said, well, must have been the players.
Yeah.
And James messaged in our group and said that was a bad play call. I said, holy crap, it's happened.
And the worst part about that is, had Calvin hit his block, it's a successful play.
Yeah,
which is crazy that a run play on a 3rd and 9 could have worked if everybody did their job. But yeah, it's to me like the whole DK thing. I'm upset with his production this year too, but I think it's a direct reflection of the rest of the targets. Nobody is getting separation. Nobody's consistently catching the ball. You can't expect Calvin Austin to win contested catch balls. He's smaller than everybody he goes against, and he keeps on getting in contested catch situations, which he's going to lose 9 times out of 10 because he's smaller and weaker than everybody he goes against. So if you want to see DK produce better, the other guys have to produce better because he's just getting double teamed because no one's drawing any attention away from him. Why do you need to double team anyone else on this offense in the passing game? There's no reason to. Absolutely none. So they just have to commit to throwing the ball to Pat Freiermuth 5-6 times a game, regardless of how it turns out. He'll catch it. You throw it to him and he'll catch it. That's what he does. But if you don't ever throw it to him in a game like this, that's absurd. He's got the best hands on the team, and it's not close.
Absurd and obscene.
Yeah.
I don't like this idea, but Odell Beckham is available.
No.
I really don't like it, but it's there.
Yeah. There's nobody available in free agency that's going to fix it. The guys on the team have to play better, and we've got to get better schematics going on too.
Adam Thielen also got cut. Just saying.
He wants to go to a contender though, so he's not going to Pittsburgh.
No.
So let's at least move on to the offensive line here so we can get to the defense here before the show goes an hour and a half and nobody wants to watch it. Offensive line, I felt like, other than not opening up enough holes in the run game, I thought they held up pretty well in the pass blocking. I was pleasantly surprised with Andres Pete. I thought he looked the part. At no point in time did I say, dang it, man, Andres missed another block. So I thought, honestly, he represented himself pretty well. Only 1 sack allowed in this game, and on that one, I put that on Rodgers. So I felt like the offensive line was decent in this game. In a lot of the run success not being there was just because the Bills brought too many guys down to have enough people to block. So if they have more defenders than you have blockers, then yes, someone's going to be open and they're going to hit the running back. So I don't hold anything against them on that. You guys have anything on the offensive line?
No complaints.
Nope.
Nothing. I mean, there's
happily
ish. I don't think they were the sore spot on offense this week. Which is
yes.
thing.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it. They were not the reason that we lost the game.
Yep.
So, and there were plenty of reasons why. And we're getting to it right now as we go to the defensive side of things.
And can I kick it off by saying, for a defensive head coach to go up against an offense that had 3 starting offensive, I think they're on their 4th starting tackle, maybe fourth tackle on the depth chart at a certain point in this game, because I know the top 2 were out to start, and then somebody got injured. To have that happen, And then to also allow, I believe Ray Davis, I saw a stat somewhere, had like 57, 55 yards, which is more than he's had all season. That's their backup running back who rarely gets in to relieve James Cook, is embarrassing. It's very
62
embarrassing.
yards and a 6.9 average per carry.
Yeah. And honestly, he's probably only out there because at a certain point in time, Cook's just too tired to take another carry.
Yeah.
Because he was running all over us.
Mhm.
So he wasn't having any 1 or 2 yard carries, really. He was just busting off runs play after play. So just an embarrassing performance by the defense against the run. And that's like run defense to me is a lot of desire and want to. Do you want to beat the guy in front of you?
Mhm.
Do you want to be okay with just being blocked, or do you want to go make a play? And then a lot of it, too, was just Buffalo committed to having 3 wide receivers on the field to force Pittsburgh into their nickel defense, because when they were in their base, they did a lot better job against the run. We saw a ton of run stops from Cam Hayward. We saw a ton of run stops from Y.A. Black. In fact, I was impressed with Y.A. Black in this game. 9 tackles. I guarantee you, if we look at this, and Cody's going to look it up because he always tries to fact check me when I say stuff like this, but I doubt Isaiah Loudermilk has an entire season where he has 9 tackles. And he's been with the team for 5 years and gone through large stretches of starting for this team when starters have been out.
Just because you've said that, he has a season with 10. Just because you said it, James.
Nick, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Or did you look it up?
I did not.
Okay,
No,
I was like, you're wrong.
He's being
2020 run, 2021, he had 23 tackles, 16 solo, and then he had
on an
16
entire season.
16 and 23 and 17 and 24.
right.
Almost put up a third of that in one game. That's
Yeah,
Right,
Wyatt
that's
got
the point.
9 in one game.
One game.
And a lot of these were right at the line of scrimmage or even behind the line of scrimmage. So I thought YA looked very stout in a promising game for him. That's his first career start. You know, a 5th round pick, his first career start, and he looked every bit the part of what you want the rest of the defense to be. If he can convince the other guys that they should have spines too, we'll be in business. But you're going to need somebody to take pride in stopping the run when Cam retires, which is coming sooner than we want it to. Let's be real. I don't know if Cam's going to want to play next year if this defense continues playing this poorly.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No.
It's going to tarnish his career.
I'm not trying to bounce back to this because I don't want to do that, but you just sparked a thought in my brain, James, where it's like, I don't even know if Mike Tomlin has cultivated an environment where the players feel like they have a spot to call each other out. I almost
well,
feel
we see
like
Rodgers do it, so you would think that.
But
at least
Rodgers
it's
is
there.
a different animal. Rodgers is complete. Rodgers would call out his own mother. Like, if that's different than these young guys and stuff.
Well, Cam's
coming
not
into
a
the
young
environment.
Cam's
I'm
not a
not
young
talking
guy,
Cam.
though.
I'm talking YA. I'm talking YA.
Oh, yeah.
I think we see it after busted coverages. Like when touchdowns are allowed, you see it on the field of guys like yelling at somebody else, you were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But, you know, the camera crews are so focused on the guys celebrating their touchdown that you're not seeing Patrick Queen calling somebody out for being
next
in
year,
spot.
James, I'm
Ramsey
paying for that full
called them,
22 film.
Yeah.
I want to watch it. every
You
play.
get to see a lot of stuff when you have that. There's no doubt about it. So that's why, you know, Jill shouts him out all the time. I enjoy him too. Steelers Depot does a lot of film breakdown where they include clips. So you get to kind of get into the nitty gritty of some of that stuff. So they're a fantastic read and listen for any of you that really want to get more into the film and more into the tape on things. But yeah, I felt like we had 2 guys who really played well in this game and a bunch of guys who didn't. And I'll give Brandon Echols credit. That was an awesome interception.
Yeah.
The secondary in general, I thought, played pretty well against the pass. But the problem is that Josh Allen had his fastest time to release of the entire season.
Yeah.
It was 2.4 seconds. He was just getting rid of the ball fast, which does not allow somebody who's fighting through a double team to get to the quarterback. And unfortunately, part of the reason that TJ Watt's career is being spoiled by Mike Tomlin is that he just doesn't have a Robin.
Mm-hmm.
James Harrison had his Robin. He was Batman. He had Lamar Woodley on the other side. If Harrison got double teamed, Woodley went and made the play, and that's just not happening from these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need
some
to see
random
Big
sacks
Big.
here and there, but it's not enough. It's not consistent. or they're getting these favorable matchups and winning once a game. And it's just not enough.
I'm going to point out that, yeah, he had his fastest release of all season because their offensive coordinator knew our strength, which was getting to the passer, and decided to make a game plan to utilize that.
And this is like not the first or second or third time that quarterbacks have their quickest release against our defense.
Yep.
They know they have to.
It's like they make changes.
Also, we kind of bumped over this. I wanted to say it real quick. This is the most yards allowed at this stadium in its existence.
Rushing.
280. What was the number?
249.
249.
Okay.
And the flip side of that is, Pittsburgh only allows 123 yards passing in this game on 15 of 23 from Josh Allen, which is saying something. They didn't get beat because they were giving up a bunch of passes, but when Buffalo did pass, they got it out quick.
Yeah.
Either it was incomplete or it was intercepted or it was a completion, but it was gone quick and just didn't give our guys enough time to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going to say
when
that
we talked about it. We talked about it in the pre-show too, saying that this receiving core isn't stellar. It's something that we should have been able to take advantage of. So 123 yards, in my opinion, is terrible. Like we shouldn't have allowed.
We got beat, and I don't think any of you will disagree with this. We got beat because of our inability to make changes when they're doing when any team, specifically the Bills in this situation, does something that we're not handling properly. We don't make changes. We don't make situation changes or player changes or scheme changes. We just keep doing the same thing and hope that it'll work.
It felt that way because we came out in the half and it was at the beginning, we were in control. We had 7 points. We held them to 3 and we were looking good. And then they came out and made adjustments and their defense played very well. We didn't. And granted, it was a momentum shift with a scoop and score play. But I mean, at some point you have to make some sort of adjustment and it didn't feel like we did.
Nope. And I saw a lot of different formations on defense, but just nobody making any plays.
Yeah.
So they definitely didn't just march the same defense out there play after play. There was a lot of 3 middle linebacker formations in an effort to try to stop the run, and it worked very few times. There was a few times where they went with 3 defensive linemen in the nickel, which I think is a very good idea if you're getting run on. And again, it only worked sometimes. So they definitely switched stuff up, but guys didn't make plays, man. And honestly, I think part of this is if you're getting smoked that much in the run, you got to bring your safeties up. Because it was over and over, we had 6 guys between the defensive line and the linebackers, and they had 6 blockers. There's a man-on-man, and there's no one free to get the running back.
Right.
So he's getting to the second level, so why not bring a safety up to get the odds in your favor? They weren't passing the ball on us. We had 3 pass breakups. They only had 15 completed passes for 120 yards. They weren't beating us through the air. There needed to be more of a commitment to stopping the run, including the safeties, and they just didn't bring them up. That's my biggest complaint, is not that they went vanilla with the defense, because they didn't. They definitely mixed it up. But the adjustment that needed to be made was either blitzing secondary guys or bringing safeties right up to that line of scrimmage to change the odds and change the numbers in your favor. Because if the numbers are even, the offense has the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Deshaun Elliott, and Cole Holcomb and Malik Harrison do not instill confidence in me. That's what I'm leaving for my defensive thoughts.
More than fair. More than fair. In 14 tackles out of Peyton Wilson, he tried. He was another one that showed fire in this game. He showed passion. 14 tackles is great, but we did this earlier in the year. He had a game where he had like 14 tackles, and I said, I need to see him make tackles on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And then the next week he did it. So I'm going to say it again. I need to see Peyton Wilson make tackles on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And a tougher run test is coming.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to have to stop Derrick Henry.
Right.
We want to be confident in this team again.
you can't wait until Derrick Henry gets on your side of the line of scrimmage. You got to hit him in his side of the line.
No, once he squares his shoulders, good night.
Yeah.
Like, there's no stopping him. So.
Yep.
Linebackers, we kind of already touched a little bit. Nothing to write home about. Obviously, Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen at 6 tackles. He had 1 QB hit registered, but didn't see a whole lot. Malik Harrison led our no, I lied. Peyton Wilson did with 14. But Malik Harrison obviously led Patrick Queen once he came out with the injury in tackles. TJ Watt, quiet game. James, really frustrated that the ball was run to that side so often he never made a play. Never got one tackle behind the line of scrimmage or anything like that. Frustrating to see there. And then obviously the secondary didn't get beat horribly, but they're part of the problem, I guess, that, some blown coverage in the end zone led to the Keon Coleman touchdown. I think guys they were so afraid of Josh Allen's mobility that they kind of played up a little bit, and then he threw right over top of them for at least that touchdown specifically. So,
and then when they didn't, he dashed them with his legs. So it was a perfect storm of when they played one, they broke them with the other.
And it's going to be worse next week or in the future with Lamar. So
twice.
I mean, we'll see. Lamar's coming off of a god-awful performance against the worst defense in the NFL. So I can't imagine their confidence is real high right now, but it's a must-win. Mm-hmm. It's a must-win. We cannot lose to Baltimore and expect to make it to the playoffs and make any noise. If Pittsburgh is going to gain the confidence of us and the entire fan base back, they got to show up, they got to have some spines, and they got to play Baltimore tough. So special teams, nothing crazy good in this game, right? Waitman had another poor performance, unfortunately. Boz gets the one extra point. Nothing special on returns, nothing special on coverage units. So I don't think there's anything we really need to go over on that. Do we want to give game balls out on this one, guys, or are we skipping game balls this week? What do you want to do?
I don't think anyone deserves it.
Do they deserve it?
YA Black does.
Yeah.
That's fair. YA Black.
I would have given mine to Darnell for the second week in a row. So.
No, I think YA honestly deserves the joint game ball. Like, I mean, Darnell had 2 catches for 45, sure, but I don't know.
I think
how many targets other than the one that was overthrown?
4.
I think there's 4 people legitimately who did not give up in this game and still put together good performances. And I think we're agreeing on YA Black. We're agreeing on Darnell Washington.
Can I guess the other 2?
Involved.
I was going to say, wait.
Can we guess our guesses for the other 2?
Yeah.
Cam and Jalen.
Hayward.
Cam and Jalen. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Look, balloons to celebrate that we got it right.
I think those 4 never gave up and gave fantastic effort the whole way through the game. If I had an honorable mention, it's Peyton Wilson. Outside of that, I didn't think anybody else really deserved much credit in this game.
I think it's important, James. I'm going to let you take this one. I just want to bring it up. Let's talk about the backup defensive lineman potentially causing a injury to our star defensive player.
Yeah, and there was no mention of it after the game, so I'm hoping that this is nothing significant, but very close to the end of the game. It says the Otomewo decides he's upset with one of the players on the other team, shoves him. TJ already saw an altercation coming and was on his way to try to break it up, and the offensive lineman gets shoved onto TJ, and he cleats him. And TJ comes limping off the field because he just took a cleat from a 300-plus offensive lineman on the toes on one of his feet. And this is why sportsmanship is so doggone important. Because here we have a back-of-the-roster defensive lineman throwing a temper tantrum at the end of the game, shoving a guy after a play when I think it was the final 2 minutes of the game. Like, the game was almost over at this point, and you might have broken a toe of your best pass rusher, best player on defense, probably best player on the entire team, all because of a back-of-the-roster guy throwing a hissy fit. That is the kind of thing that if he were cut tomorrow, I wouldn't be upset, because you have to at least put your foot down somewhere here. Or don't dress him next week. Yeah. Dress Logan Lee instead as a punishment. But you can't have guys doing that sort of thing, and your leader's trying to come and stop somebody from doing something stupid and then ends up injured on the play. So with any kind of luck, it's nothing serious. But I'm sure at least he had a whole bunch of blood in his sock from it.
You especially can't do it when we hear it. Crash Outs by the Lake are going to call you out on it.
Bring it, Assessy.
Yeah. So obviously that wraps up the show. If you guys have any opinions you want to share with us, please feel free to DM us on social media or comment on the video or wherever you're watching or getting the content from. We can't thank you guys enough for listening. Hopefully next week will be better, but we're not holding our breath. Don't forget to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe Ring the bell. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Don't forget the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Make James very happy. And until next time, this is your host, James, Cody, Nick, and Jill from Ohio. Sadly signing off.
Peace.